Guest, a political and social commentator, James Melville. Good afternoon, James.
Good afternoon, Kevin. You well?
I'm very, very well. Let's go through the speech. I think the banner headline is what we all knew was coming, you know, that HS2 has hit the buffers. Rishi has saved it up. Saying he hasn't made a decision. He was saying that right up until yesterday. You made the decision weeks ago, mate. Don't lie. However, today he said, yes, I am axing it. Let's have a little listen to what he said, what he told the party faithful up there in Manchester. Take it away, Rishi.
So, I am ending this long-running saga. I am cancelling the rest of the HS2 project. And in its place, we will reinvest every single penny.
Well, there you go. What he's talking about is something that he has christened, can you say that anymore? Dubbed, the Northern Network. So actually, if he comes good on all of this, they'll be linking the east of the north to the west of the north. He was talking about, you know, 42 minutes to Bradford, 50 minutes to Leeds, 60 minutes to Hull. I didn't get the minutes right, but you know what I mean. And then he went off into this sort of huge diatribe about all the roads he was going to improve. Those of us in the south never heard of them, you know, the A47, the A41, and so on and so forth. I think we might have a bit of this blizzard of information about transport in the north. Again, take it away, Prime Minister.
With our new Network North, you will be able to get from Manchester to the new station in Bradford in 30 minutes, Sheffield in 42 minutes, and to Hull in 84 minutes on a fully electrified line.
Get a return ticket to Hull, James, and then you can say, I've been to Hull and back. But what did you make of this? Obviously, this was to sugarcoat the fact that HS2 is now officially over. So he says he's going to invest 36 billion quid into this sort of right to left, east to west, west to east, and all these roads as well he was talking about. What did you make of that?
I think the focus should be on better connections in the north. I mean, this goes right back to when the government, previous governments, were talking about Northern Powerhouse and nothing's being done. I think there's a major problem with poor investment, poor infrastructures, and poor transport links in the north. So I think that development, if it comes off, is welcome. But then there's also been the wastage around the overall costs on this huge scheme. Huge amounts of taxpayers' money have been wasted. But I do welcome what he's actually saying, because I think that has to be the priority. I think our infrastructures right across the country are a complete shambles. This government has let a lot of our infrastructures rot since 2010, in particular the north. And I'm a firm believer that we don't, in their words, level up until we actually do something about a lot of the communities that have effectively been hollowed out since deindustrialization in the 80s. So while I welcome it, I still take it with a bit of a pinch of salt, because I've heard Sunak say a number of things on a number of different issues for a very, very long time. He's going to do things, but they don't actually get done. So let's wait and see if they're actually done.
Yeah, and I do think, I was going to say the body politic generally, because don't forget HS2 originally, 2006, was a Labour proposal. The Tories under Cameron picked up the mantle, and they have, you know, wasted billions and billions of pounds on it. We understand that for this pointless piece of track from somewhere west of London to somewhere south of Birmingham, the bill will come in at an astronomical £180 billion for a railway line no one needs. That is a disgrace. So I think that the Tories owe us an explanation, and they owe us an apology. Much of what Rishi had to say in this speech today was, you know, oh, he's changing tack on greenery, he's changing tack on wokery, etc., etc. What he's talking about, he's basically saying all the Tory policies that I and other prime ministers presided over have been wrong.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I welcome some of the things he was saying today, but as I said, with a pinch of salt at times, because a lot of these policies have been implemented over the last 13 years. I mean, if you look at aspects of net zero, HS2, you know, he's been talking about reinvestment on the, you know, the NHS, on schools, you know, aspects of inflation. These are all problems under the auspices of this government. He's now saying he's going to try and solve the problems that he and many others actually created. He's the author of his own misfortune in a lot of ways, not just as Prime Minister, but when he was Chancellor. Many of them are. And I hope people see through it. But I think what he's doing, there's an election coming up. So politicians come out with all these platitudes and effectively forms of political bribery to get people on side. But people shouldn't forget what caused the problems in the first place. And that was this government. They've been in power for 13 years. The problems with infrastructure and public services and indeed the economy are problems largely created by this government. He's trying to solve his own problems.
Listen, James, it's always good to hear your views on any situation, but we do need now to go to a political colossus for his comments on the HS2 hitting the buffer. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, that man of letters, footballer Gary Neville. Take it away, Gary.
Well, I think what you say you should do. And this was always about connecting the country. I mean, the idea that we don't connect Manchester with Leeds, with Sheffield, with Newcastle, with Liverpool and all the other northern cities and make us great and the connectivity. We rely upon transport links. We rely upon the transport links to ensure that we connect our cities. And the idea of not connecting it from a symbolic point of view is just really, you talk about levelling up. I mean, they've done everything but level up. Absolutely, not just on this, on everything.
See, that's what Gary Neville had to say about it. A good footballer, by the way. Not such a good pundit, if you ask me. Everyone, he's a great pundit. Gets on my nerves. Not a very good football manager either. But interesting to hear what Gary Neville had to say. And actually, I think he was sort of on the money there. What we were always saying all along, James, is the problem in the north, in terms of transport, in terms of rail infrastructure and roads, was never north to south. It was east to west. Suddenly, Rishi, late in life, seems to have realised that, cancelling this north to south project in favour of a east to west, west to east project. But as you say, I mean, it's 36 billion quid. How long's he going to be in power anyway? You know, will it ever happen, or was it just nice words?
Well, I just don't believe anything they say. I mean, with this government, they say something, perhaps believe the opposite. They've been talking about a northern powerhouse, in inverted commas, for a very, very long time, and nothing's being done. I mean, I am constantly going on about this. I think so many communities around the country, not just in the northeast and northwest of England, but also where I live in the southwest of England, and also parts of Scotland, albeit it's a different government up there, they've been left to rot for generations. And until we, again, in inverted commas, level up, there needs to be more investment, legacy investment and policies that connect these communities, not just in terms of transport, but also public services, and also business infrastructure as well. It seems to me that there is a lot of investment, a lot of scope around the southeast. That's where most of the employment and enterprise lies. It's the sort of bedrock of the economy. But part of it is because the economy has disappeared in so many of these places and people feel forgotten about on so many different issues. I think it is actually one of the #1 talking points, it should be, regarding rebooting and healing this country and making it fit for purpose. And that is rebooting those former glorious industrial areas in the north of England, parts of the southwest and in Scotland. But nothing has been done really for 40 years, and that's absolutely outrageous.
Listen, I want to get your thoughts generally, overarchingly, on his speech. Went on for about an hour. I spent several minutes, half of that speech, trying to recover from the excruciating experience of listening to his wife telling us what a great guy he was, and that he was her best friend, and she loved him, and he was a great dad and a great husband. I mean, yeah, thanks. I don't quite know what that was all about. However, let's forget about her. We will revisit her later in the show. What were your general thoughts on this speech? I thought it was quite a good rallying cry to the party faithful, full of nice words, powerful words. But will it be enough to turn the Tory ship around?
I think there's a lot in there that's basically it's like almost the starting gun for the next election, isn't it? He's trying to get, obviously, those seats in the north on side again, because ultimately those northern seats will decide the next election. But I think ultimately it is a form of political bribery, and I hope people see through it. Because if you look at the legacy of this government, especially over the last few years, fundamentally it always comes down to the economy. And I cannot see the Tories winning the next election if the economy doesn't turn around. We are probably going to face another winter of discontent with a spike in energy prices again. And that's going to be very, very difficult for the Tories to get through. The only thing that's saving them as we run up to the next election is the opposition.
Yeah.
You know, we do not have a government in waiting from Labour. We have two political leaders, Sunak and also Starmer, who are devoid of charisma and don't connect with people. And I think the public at large feel completely disenfranchised with the two main parties. Their cheeks are the same backside. They're not offering anything new. They're not listening to people. And meanwhile, communities are crying for government that actually takes on board their concerns, listens to them, and actually does something about it in the long term. But all we're getting is a form of electioneering, and I think most people will see through it. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next election. I suspect the candidates that will do well will be the ones who are genuinely listening to the concerns of their constituents. I think there might be a lot of strange results around the country, and it will come down to integrity of candidates. I think on a lot of occasions, the two main parties and what they're saying nationally will be largely forgotten and dismissed by the public.
Absolutely. And when he starts talking about our world-class education system and how he's succeeding in stopping the boats, blatant electioneering, to which we're all going, what? I don't think so. I don't think you're really succeeding when it comes to stopping the boats. And our education system, slightly in the toilet, I would suggest. Stay where we are, James. We're going to talk about you, Les, when we come back. Talking to James Melville, political and social commentator. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan. This is Talk TV.